What is Gracism? Gracism is born out of two words, racism and grace. The first one's a bad word, right? Racism. To speak, act, or think negatively about someone else solely based on their color, class, or culture. Of course, that includes structural racism and institutional racism, but to make it a short, small sentence, it's that idea of speaking what I say, acting, or thinking negatively about someone else or a group of people solely based on their color, class, or culture. That's bad. Grace, that's a good word. Feels good even when you say it, grace. That is extending favor. Favor that cannot be deserved, earned, or repaid. It's favor on people regardless of who they are. Gracism then comes out of those two words, a new term that emerges that I coined, Gracism. That means to extend favor to other people, regardless of, maybe even because of, their color, class, or culture. Doesn't matter whether they deserve it. It doesn't matter whether they can earn it. It doesn't matter whether they can repay it. It's extending favor. And that's really what God is. He's a favor granting God. He extends favor to us and grace to us even though we don't deserve it. And of course, God is the biggest gracist of us all. Whether you believe in God or not, you definitely know that grace has touched your life, even if you don't know who or where it came from. But I, in my faith tradition, believe it comes directly from God. But then out of this term gracism comes 7 sayings or 7 commitments, 7 standards of how you actually affect gracism in the culture, how you affect gracism in the company, how you affect gracism in the corporation, in your county, or in your nonprofit. 7 sayings. One of them is, I will lift you up. That means to elevate other people. Again, out of grace, not because they deserve it. Who are you going to elevate? Being a lifter, not putting people down and tearing people down, but lifting people up. I will lift you up. I will cover you. That means I'm going to protect you. I'm going to cover you. I'm not going to show your backside to everybody, but I'm not going to embarrass your whole group of people, the people that you represent. That's what covering is. It's not covering up, but it's at least protecting one's dignity and reputation. I will share with you. This is the idea of not just saying I have pie and I'm going to give you a slice of it. It's the idea of sharing networks. It's the idea of graceonomics, as I call it. My networks and my ability to lift you up by using the doors that are open for me, I can get them opened for you. It's sharing the wealth. It's sharing the access that I have because I've been so graced, I can actually open doors that you can't. And guess what? You can open doors that I can't. So what communities can we open doors for? I will lift, I will cover, I will share, I will honor. The idea of honoring is making sure that people are in a special way talked about, lifted up, and given a special sense of dignity. In God's word, in my faith tradition, he honors those that are weak. And it's those who are in the majority that work hard to make sure that the minority are lifted up as well, that everybody is invited and included into the circle of honor. But then there's another saying, I will stand with you. This is when you advocate and stand for those that are weaker, stand for the minority, stand for those that don't have the ability to stand for themselves. Maybe they're being oppressed or victimized. This is what a gracist does. Just like my God stands for me, we can stand for other people. Who are you standing with and up for these days? And then I will consider you. This is the idea of saying, who's not in the room? Who needs to be in the room? And if they're not, can I represent them? As a gracist male, can I say, well, how does this affect females? As a gracist white person, can I say, how does this affect brown people or black people? As a gracist black person, how can I think about consideration for the white male or the Asian sister or brother or the immigrant? This is what it means to consider other people. And then I will celebrate with you. You know, we should grieve with those who grieve, suffer with those who suffer. When people are vulnerable and they're hurt, we should feel their pain. But the other side of that is celebrating and rejoicing with people when they finally do make it to the boardroom, when they finally do make it to that office in the corner suite, when they finally do get a raise or a promotion, celebrating with other groups of people and celebrating with others who have not as much as you, but now they've just gotten more than you, or maybe they just got married and you still want to be. They're having a child and you can't get pregnant. It's not easy to celebrate with other people, but it does something to your spirit when you take yourself out of yourself to help lift other people up and celebrate them. Well, you can take all of these sayings and you can utilize them in so many different ways. We've seen this happen in companies, corporations. We've even seen it happen in war-torn countries. I pray that Gracism is something that you can commit to. So why don't you commit to being a gracist? And together, we won't just reject racism. We won't just be anti-racist. We'll be something even more positive, something that you can do, a positive action, and that is be gracist. Thanks a lot for being a part of the Gracism movement.